Hello and welcome back once again to another BBA webinar. If you've joined us before, fantastic. If you haven't, welcome. You are more than welcome. Today, we're looking slightly internally at a service the BBA provide, which is HAPAS. And the topic around HAPAS is supporting innovation in highway products and services. Delighted to be joined by Surinder today, the Technical and Business Development Manager for HAPAS at the BBA. So if you have joined us before, you'll know that I run through a couple of intro slides to let you know what the BBA is about and what we actually do from a wider perspective before we narrow in on our topic today. So the BBA have been around for over 50 years, started in 1966. But the premise has always been the same: to help construction and manufacturing companies build confidence in the designs, the solutions that they implement throughout the entire supply chain. The BBA actually look to develop long-term partnerships, so we're not here today, gone tomorrow. We want to help our clients and the wider industry to continue to grow in the UK and in a global marketplace. But important to remember, we always remain reassuringly impartial. The BBA are actually a for-profit organisation limited by guarantee. So what that means is the BBA look to reinvest in the industry as a whole for the greater good and the benefit of everybody on this webinar and the supply chain and all stakeholders within the construction industry. So what do the BBA actually do? Well, today we're going to talk about HAPAS, which is one of our PAC, or Product Approval Certification services, but we're more commonly known for our agreement certificates or reproducing those certificates alongside testing, audit and inspection, management services, and more recently, UKCA marking. So if you didn't know that, please check out what we do. Okay, so some stats. I'm obviously going to focus on the two big numbers on the screen. To date, over the 50+ years we've been providing that service, we have issued over 6,000 certificates, which means, because once you've got a certificate, we do have to audit and inspect to make sure you're holding up your side of the bargain. We do over 8,000 annual inspections and assessments, which is quite a lot, and it keeps us busy. But that's enough about the BBA. Let's focus on our main topic today, which is HAPAS. So what are we going to cover today, or what is Surinder going to cover today? Well, first of all, what is HAPAS? Secondly, we'll look at an overview of the BBA HAPAS team, the importance of having products like HAPAS in the industry, the subgroups and product sectors covered by HAPAS, and how HAPAS, more importantly, is supporting product innovation. And then finally, we will end up with a Q&A if we have time. Even if we do or we don't, every question will get answered either within this webinar or after via email or some form of communication. So if you want to ask a question at any point during this webinar, please use the Q&A function, and we will ask and answer any questions at the end if we have time. So I am delighted to now welcome Surinder to the webinar. Hello, morning, Surinder.
Good morning, Peter. Thanks for having me.
The stage is all yours. Welcome and enjoy.
Brilliant. Thank you. First of all, thank you all for joining us today on the BBA webinar, supporting innovation of highway products and services through HAPAS. Now, HAPAS is abbreviated for Highways Authorities Product Approval Scheme. So we do mention HAPAS a lot, so that's what it stands for. A bit about me, I'm Surinder, and I've been working for the BBA since late September 2020. And in my role, I've been supporting technical governance within the HAPAS department and liaising with key stakeholders. I've been in the industry for about 15 years at various touch points throughout the highway supply chain. Next slide, Peter. So what it is, firstly, for those unfamiliar with the BBA, HAPAS is a product acceptance scheme, PAS, and the BBA is the leading assessment body for this type of scheme for highway related products. Now, PAS is specified and described in specification for highway works, which is our white book within our industry under clause 104. And in brief, what that states is, from manufacturing to installation, a product is assessed against a set of guidelines and criteria by a certification body, which BBA is. Now, once a product successfully meets that guidelines and criteria, a certificate is then issued. Now, also within SHW, specification for highway works, there is an appendix C, which lists the types of works, goods or materials that are required to be certified by a product acceptance scheme, such as HAPAS. This may be useful when selecting products for use on the network. So in essence, what does the criteria cover? So the criteria for a product acceptance scheme will cover, is it fit for purpose? It will look at the manufacturing, the installation, the product characteristics, but importantly, it will also make sure that the assessment and certification covers the requirements of the users of that product, and also where those products end up, or where they will be used or installed. It also needs to take into account the requirements of the people that are specifying those products. It also states that it needs to be a holistic approach, a repeatable approach to certification to certain groups, and more important than most of the criteria, it also states that there needs to be a level of competency behind the product acceptance scheme. So if you are putting a product acceptance certification together, you need to be familiar with the product and system that you are sort of putting down. And there's a list of competencies listed in the specification of highway works to give you guidance. Next slide, Peter. So where did it start? The scheme was set up by the BBA with support from Highways Agency at the time, which then became Highways England and now is National Highways, and also County Surveyors Society, which later became part of ADEPT. Now, the purpose of the scheme was to certify innovative products and systems, develop a holistic national assessment in terms of testing and certification, which could then later become adopted into specification. Now, these products were mainly premium, so not standard in terms of quality control. It was in the interest of key stakeholders to have that rigor, and where clients wanted to illustrate a higher level of quality assurance associated with those products. So therefore, a third-party, fully independent certification would do that with a product approach when auditing. And this ultimately gave a higher level of quality assurance, meaning it's going to be better on all fronts, from manufacturing to production quality control to sort of site method statements. Ultimately, this would lead to sort of longer life products on the network, which was in everyone's interest in terms of sustainability, and also where you had reactive and preventative maintenance of assets on the network. The next slide is about how we work with industry. So we actively engage within the entire supply chain. So that includes specifiers, manufacturers, installers, and designers, and we'll engage. That level of engagement allows us to produce a robust quality framework for assessment. Now, within the BBA, we have our very own Highways Technical Advisory Group, HITAC, which has technical oversight over all HAPAS certifications. And this panel includes it is a balanced representation of key end users. It also uses industry experts and also those responsible for having those products used and installed on highways. So it encompasses National Highways. It also includes representation from the Association of Directors of Environment, Economy, Planning and Transport, which is ADEPT. It also includes representation from Mineral Products Association, British Plastics Federation, and also the RSTA, which is the Road Surface Treatment Association. And there was also dialogue with other key organisations which could impact certification relevance. But it's important that we have this dialogue with organisations such as the ones I've talked about, because that allows us to ensure that the certification we offer is robust and it's a quality approach in terms of certification. Another key point is where development of assessment and certification takes place for a specific product sector, discussions take place through specialist groups, so they're called BBA specialist groups, which is also represented by industry. Now, we need to liaise with industry to ensure we have the right approach to assessment and certification, but still operate independently. And that's, you know, through dialogue and collaboration, we can get that, we can get there. So next slide, Peter. So why HAPAS certification? Why is it necessary? The main benefit of any product certification is to reduce risk and give user confidence that the product works for its intended purpose. This makes it easier for a certificate holder to sell their product and to ensure that we ensure, BBA HAPAS ensures, certification ensures that it is fit for purpose independently. As I said in my earlier slide, HAS product acceptance schemes can be referenced in specification for highways where it is a requirement. So why is it necessary? It can be specified. It also, the scheme is intended for use was intended for products of an innovative nature, which requires a level of confidence in the marketplace on usability. A HAPAS certification enables this to happen. Now, with innovative products, there could be lack of test data or around those products. And what I mean by this is in terms of relevance. Now, because they are of an innovative nature, comparisons will be made to conventional products. Now, the testing is also in that situation where if you're trying to illustrate the benefits of an innovative product, is it relevant? Is that test relevant? In these cases, we would work together to identify the right test to assess a particular element of the assessment, and that's important. However, there are instances where specifications can be limited as well, and HAPAS certifications can be beneficial in differentiating the product in the marketplace. Now, where, for example, with the certification verifying performance claims, and this ultimately gives user confidence. However, I must stress that I would encourage all users of BBA certification to read the detail, because products in the same family group can illustrate different requirements in terms of performance. But what they all have in common is they undergo a higher quality assurance assessment compared to products without third-party independent certification. Next slide. Okay. Sectors coverage and growth. So in HAPAS, certification covers around about 29 materials subgroups. And this ranges from road materials to drainage to paints for highway structures. This also includes surfacing products, soil reinforcement products, drainage, culverts, retaining walls, and many more. And in HAPAS, we've got an experienced, wide-ranging expertise team capable to facilitate product certification, not just operationally, but through audit, test, and inspection. Now, the experience of the team is valuable and relevant because effective communication is relayed down the chain and acted upon. So the message doesn't get confused. We know what you mean on your communication channels to us. The graphical displays show the growth of product acceptance schemes within the BBA. And within these material subgroups, as I said before, some of these products will be specified as a requirement. Others may wish to have a certificate to gain confidence in the marketplace or illustrate a greater quality assurance within the marketplace because of a natural product evolution. So if you have a change of raw materials, more environmentally friendly raw materials, but they can still do the job, the product can still perform, that's another reason why you would want a certification. or to update certification. What this tells me is that there are a number of product certificates in the industry which demonstrate quality rigor through isolated product assessment, through certification, audit, and inspection. That's what that tells me. Now, I could choose a product from one of these sectors and know that the level of risk associated with using that product is reduced because the assessment has covered a number of factors through its assessment criteria. Now, the criteria in detail includes information around the description of the product, the manufacturing, the delivery and site handling information. Is that correct? Is it in line with what that manufacturer says? The intended use of the product, is that in line with the performance claims? The maintenance regime, because you could have the product go in, but how do you actually maintain it? So we would look at all of that, including the practicality of the installation. But some certificates, we need to go back to the drawing board. You know, the assessment, sorry. Some products will not make it through the stages because there are so many unanswered questions, and they would have to go back and get that information. So that's important as well. So supporting innovation, we work with a number of established companies. Some certificates do drop off when products and systems become standardized. However, you will see some companies see the benefit and continue to get their product certified to raise their own internal quality. And long this certificate is 23 years old, as long as the scheme has been operating. And this year, we also, in 2021, we got selected to be the preferred partner for national road marking trials, beating a stiff competition from other certification bodies. But the experience of the team was the most valuable, unique selling point. So we continue to help innovation along, and BBA represents quality, but also trust. And being able to certify new and different technologies is why we are the leading assessment body for highway materials. This year, we've certified a pothole product using an unconventional binder technology for that product sector, which is great news. We are helping innovation. We all have a level of corporate responsibility towards helping achieve net zero. And the BBA HAPAS team are there to certify that the products will deliver the desired performance for the end user. Now, recent examples can be wall mix asphalt compliance. Now, these are asphalt products, surfacing products produced at a lower temperature. But we have to demonstrate and know and assess that they can be suitable alternatives to their hot mix equivalents for a given scenario. Now, the evolution of constituents to give sustainable products will become more frequent. Having a third-party certification will help monitor the changes, do not have a detrimental effect on the product certified. Now, what I mean by this is that if there is an evolution of constituents using more environmentally friendly raw materials, we will monitor and manage those changes in terms of the formulation and assess that impact. And there will be a robust trail of rationale behind the changes, but it will be a pragmatic approach. So it will be a sensible approach, not to hinder innovation, but to manage it carefully. Now, the previous slide illustrated the depth of certification across HAPAS. And I believe the coverage was only increased over the years due to the focus on technology development and meeting net zero targets. So this could be an asset approach. So we currently certify individual products under certification, but looking ahead, in addition to innovative products, certification could include a combination of products, a system approach, where there is innovation throughout the whole pavement and in terms of smart motorways. So binder course layers, foundation layers that sit lower down in your pavement. And this year, we've been looking at 8 new product areas of assessment, which are at scoping or assessment stage, which is great. So on top of that 29, we're going to be in the 30s in terms of the product groups that we are currently involved in. Okay, workmanship. This is an important element of the highway supply chain. So the BBA high friction surfacing approved installer scheme provides assurance to manufacturers that their product is being consistently installed in accordance with their method statements through a network of trained and registered BBA approved installers. Now, the HFS approved installer scheme is a success story where installers are being assessed to agreed method statements for the product being installed. If the installer is installing multiple products, all HAPAS approved, they will be audited against the installation of those products. So even though the products are very similar of nature, the way they are handled could be different, and that is still audited. That part of the element is audited. Now, HAPAS certifications go through a number of stages, through applicants' data to site trials to assessing over a duration of time, ultimately leading to certification. Now, it is a key requirement of PAS schemes that the competency is demonstrated, and in HAPAS we use highly trained assessors with industry experience, so they are familiar with the processes involved in the production and installation of products and systems being installed. And the people we have in HAPAS setting on a ground level have 25+ years experience. And I always say you could have the best made product in the world, but the assessment of installation can be key for improved industry quality. So understanding a process isn't necessarily the same as understanding them themselves. So familiarity with process isn't necessarily the same as understanding them. Therefore, installer schemes do work well. And this demonstrates quality through start to finish. The team that we have within the HAPAS department and the BBA have an excellent team, and they've got variable experiences and expertise. And then this can be invaluable to any organization, and we continue to invest in the people that work for us. Most of the HAPAS personnel have industry ties, which allows us to keep abreast of key updates, but also for relevance. So decisions made by trade bodies or industry routes affect many of our certification holders. Now, there is also a process of education that I carry out through presentations like this, through these webinars, and through liaison with trade bodies, where I reinforce reinforce that message, so the users of the product certified understand the value of having those products used on the network. Mainly because they do demonstrate a higher level of quality throughout the highway supply chain in terms of mitigating the risk associated with their use. And ultimately, when you have a higher level of quality assurance, this leads to longer lasting products. And I believe that is it, guys. Thank you. Thank you for your time today. Questions?
Excellent. Superb, Surinder, thank you so much for taking us through that. Really interesting. I've got a couple of questions, just going off what you were saying before, just to get a bit more detail off yourself. The first one was you saying you were developing 8 new product sectors or categories. I'm not asking you to go through all 8, but are there any that you see as more important or that you'd like to highlight to people watching?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say too much because some companies invest quite heavily in their R&D, and therefore they would want to be the first to be certified in the marketplace. But what I can say is it aligns itself with the messages of achieving zero, having more sustainable products on the market, longer lasting products on the market. And it ticks a lot of the green agenda boxes that are out there. And if any of our audience attended Highways UK, the key messages were around sustainability, lowering your carbon footprint, and digitalisation. And some of the companies have that foresight to invest in their product development and to ensure that they can meet the values or the mission statements provided by their stakeholders, and that's why we're seeing an increase in communications with the BBA on certifying products that are still innovative, but also an evolution of the existing certifications to lower the carbon footprint.
Fantastic. So we've got a question from Andy here, and he asks, is HAPAS always required by National Highways in any of their schemes?
Where it's a requirement in the specification for highway works, it's advisable to have a certification in place. So there are MCH specification for highway works is undergoing a rewrite, but it's going to take a period of time. But PAS schemes will always be referenced for either the premium products or where there is a deficiency in specification, shall we say. But they are, if national highways allow, you can always seek a departure from standard. So you don't have to go through a product acceptance scheme. You can always seek a departure, but for every job you do, then you would be seeking a departure. So it would make more sense to go through the certification scheme, because it just makes life a little bit easier, in all fairness. You know, you have a product that's certified, it goes through an independent assessment, you raise your own internal quality assurance, and national highways or other devolved institutions recognize that you know, this product and system has undergone an improvement process independently.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Okay, I think that wraps it up. We're what are we doing for time here? Yeah, we're pretty much bang on time there, which is fantastic. So final words from me, really. First of all, Surinder, thank you so much for joining us. Really interesting to find out a bit more about HAPAS. I certainly found it interesting.
No,
any final words?
No, I mean, for myself personally, I think the message is, you know, hopefully the presentation set out a bit of historical setting for HAPAS and why it came about and why it's specified, but also the message of it's more than just the product being certified independently. You're raising the level of quality assurance within the chain if you have your product certified. And lastly, let's not forget the installation of products, because as I said during the presentation, you could have the best product in the world, but you need to ensure it's installed properly. And the BBA or other certification body can offer a service there with can ensure that products do get installed properly as per the guidelines.
Okay, excellent. I know we've just had a couple of questions come in, but what we'll do is there's one that might take longer than the other. So I think I'll just finish. I'll say we'll finish with that question, but first of all, I'll just say thank you to the audience for joining us. Thank you, Surinder and the BBA for all the knowledge and information and all the good work you do. And I think we'll just finish on this question, because I think it's probably what most of the audience will want to know or ask, and that's, how long does the certificate process take?
Sorry, I muted you, Peter.
Yeah, that's right.
The certification process can take a certain level of time. Now, if the products or systems is weather dependent in terms of its performance in situ, then it would have to undergo a seasonal assessment. So it can vary, but you can possibly get your certification between 6 months. But if there's a seasonal assessment associated, then we won't look at just one winter season. We'd probably look at 2, so up to 2 years.
Okay, fantastic. Right, we'll end on that one. We've got a couple more questions, but we'll definitely answer them via email. So once again, Surinder, thank you. People that have joined us, thank you, and we will see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.